Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deerigan. Alongside me, as always, is the Jotun Toten, bringing it back.
Callbacks.
The King Slayin, the Jolly Roger, the plunderer himself, Mr. Josh Finney.
It's been a week, Corey.
Josh has a bottle, everybody. I'm just warning you now. Josh has the bottle. He's taking a swig.
I don't have any glassware in my office yet, so...
That bottle is glass, sir.
I don't have any glasses in my office yet. I need to get my liquor cart set up. So everything's living in my desk for right now. Yeah, no, it's just been, a whole week of personal shit. Not gonna get into it here. Man, send some good vibes my way. It's been a rough week. But man, outside of that, it's a lot of good stuff happening though this week. I would say also, despite the bullshit, personal bullshit aside, it's been a pretty fun week. I think, interesting story week for the game.
Yeah, big.
Did my first master catch crash. Finally.
How'd that go?
That was. We're gonna save that. It's part of our discussion tonight. Got another King's Fall run in. Finally got the scout and the pulse to drop, so I've gotten every piece of gear from it now. Now it's just focusing on getting some red borders and getting Touch of Malice. About ready to craft one of the two seasonal weapons I've just fallen in love with, the sidearm. Still waiting on 2 or 3 more scout rifle patterns, I believe. Yeah. Been an interesting week. Let's if you don't have anything here at the top.
I mean, nothing really to chat about.
We're just getting straight to it today.
The Browns lost an embarrassing loss to the Jets this weekend, but I've talked a lot about that I don't want to talk about it anymore. So
we did have a cathartic sports moment right before we started recording where we lamented how bad the Browns and the Seahawks are this year. Well, Corey lamented how bad the Browns are. I'm ready to get plowed for Stroud.
They lost to the Jets, man.
That's true.
The Jets.
That's true. Ted Lasso has a really good New York Jets joke.
Does he? Oh
yeah. It was it's something about what do you call a team that's so bad it gets relegated? What's our equivalent of that in America? And Coach Beard goes the New York Jets. That's great. It's great. So many layup jokes in there. I love it. Them being in FIFA kind of funky.
I know, it's kind of
I like it, and that's a slam dunk move, right? But
I know that's awesome. It made me think about. I'm not going to, but it made me think about buying FIFA this year.
Yeah, I might get FIFA. I only have to get it. I can play it when it comes to Game Pass next year.
Oh my gosh, we missed an extra point. Are you kidding?
I will. I will play it next year just so I can play a match as Richmond.
Yeah, I will play. I will play when it comes to Game Pass.
If there's no clip of Danny Rojas running around the field chanting his own name, I don't know if I want to play it.
Right. That's so cool, though.
It's so good. Chelsea had a really low-key weekend and week, in between all the bullshit. Caught up on a lot of TV shows. With all the stuff that's going on, if you're watching on YouTube, you can very clearly see, Corey says it looks like I'm sitting on a throne of boxes right now, and I basically am still. This is kind of where we dumped everything that we don't know where we're putting it yet, or we haven't put it in its appropriate place quite yet. My office has become the place. So
imagine the Atheon's throne emote, but instead of a cool, triangular glass temple, it's just a bunch of boxes.
It's a bunch of boxes and a very uncomfortable kitchen chair. Yeah, so hopefully my goal is this weekend to get most of this cleaned up, Sunday and Monday. So Corey, we've got a lot of kind of random news to talk about tonight. A lot of random news, a lot of random topics. Kind of a cleanup show because the TWAB sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
I
if you
was
want
very
to,
excited for this TWAB because we were promised weapon theory and then that didn't happen.
yeah, but we
So,
did get, they let you know you could get some cosmetics for your
yeah.
legendaries.
Cosmetics for your legendaries. Yeah. Let's
Oh,
let's talk some sales numbers first.
let's do it.
This afternoon, Steam pushed an update and allows you to see in greater detail sales data for games now. And there was one particular statistic that jumped out to me. I was following a couple threads about it. One of them was that ESO has been like in the top 10 earning games on Steam like ever since its release. It's
What?
like never really fallen out of it because of microtransactions.
Interesting.
Um, and then we have some Destiny 2 statistics here. Destiny 2 has never left the global top 100 weekly games by revenue since its release on Steam. The Steam launch, of course, was October 1st, 2019, which was 155 weeks ago. It has been in the top 100 for 167 weeks, and that is due to the 12 weeks of pre orders for Shadowkeep that were available beforehand. That is absolutely bonkers to me that is a thing. I dead game though. Hashtag dead game.
Yep, Ted game.
Dead game.
Hashtag.
I don't even know what to say. That
As
is
dead as Nezarek. Am I right?
fucking wild, man. As dead as Nizorak. I hate you. Just some absolutely wild stuff. I cannot get over that at all. Some other sales numbers for us. Destiny 2 has been in Steam's weekly top 20 sellers every week in 2022, according to new stats. It's been in the top 10 for 21 weeks total this year, and it has been in the top 20 sellers for 57 consecutive weeks. So for over a full year, it has been. So basically, since the Witch Queen reveal, it has not left the top 20 sellers.
That's
That's crazy.
that's a beefy boy. That's a beefy stack of cash.
Dead game, by the way, though. Dead game. Man, we knew that the game was doing good. I don't think any of us thought it was doing that good, though. Because, I mean, like,
Yeah.
we see the top 10 pretty regularly, and yeah, Destiny's been in there a lot, usually during Steam sales and whatnot. This is kind of surprising, though.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel like Destiny's more of like a console game. And
Yeah.
like seeing all these Steam numbers is and granted, not a PC gamer. I don't really pay attention to Steam or anything. I think I own like 4 games on Steam, and
Mm-hmm.
one of them is the is the free version of Destiny. So, uh, yeah, I mean, good on them. I mean, Destiny is it's a good game. I mean, I don't, I convinced a couple of people to buy it a couple weeks ago. Maybe that contributed to some of it.
And I mean, keep in mind, this is just for Steam. This is not including Xbox and PlayStation
Right.
sales either. Like, it's pretty clear with the amount of engagement that we've seen this year. Like, this is the most robust the Destiny 2 player base has been probably since that like initial week of launch when it sold like tens of millions of copies.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it really
Yeah.
funny how we have people clowning on it all the time, going, "Oh, dead game, ha 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 ha." It's like before Witch Queen even came out, it was already a million seller.
Yeah.
Like for an expansion is pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially when you have more choices than ever now. Like, I know some people are gonna look at that and be like, "Oh, well, did you ever see how much World of Warcraft expansion sold?" Yeah, you had a lot less options back then, I think, especially for like an MMO space.
Yeah.
Um, there truly is no other game like Destiny, though. I think every game
No.
that's tried has come up pretty short. The Division tried, and it came up short in more than a few places.
I would
Warframe
say the
is
division came up. I think the division came the closest, and it was not close.
I think I would argue Warframe has been pretty close. Warframe's been close in a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
areas. I think in terms of like maybe mechanics and like gear and gameplay, like a gameplay loop, things like that. I hear a lot of praise for Warframe. I personally couldn't get into it, but I mean, what other game is doing the whole like live in this world with your friends with a constant evolving story. I mean, let's take this week for example. You know, this week we finally
Yeah.
got that the leaked Nezarec cutscene that got data mined.
Yeah.
Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't played
Yeah.
this week, I'm sorry, I completely just spoiled what happened for you. We get a little bit of backstory of Nezarec, and of Mithrax's mom, actually.
It's
Um,
super cool, by the way.
really cool cutscene.
Did you watch the Bife videos on this?
I have not watched the bike video. No.
I mean, you should. They're pretty cool. There's two of them.
Yeah.
There's one on Nazarek, and then there's one on uh Mithrax's mom and the
Yeah.
band of Elixir that she ran with, and it's pretty cool.
I think my problem with doing lore stuff on Mithrax's mom, I realize it's kind of contradictory because we're going to read a piece about her on Lore Corner tonight. I don't like videos where, oh, here's the story of so and so, and I know that Bife has to keep up with what's happening in game. But it's like we
Mm-hmm.
still pretty clearly have two more pieces that are going to come in that book,
Mm-hmm.
so that bothers me a bit. Um, I do like that Eramis narrates this cutscene though. Like she gives a chance to Mithrax to tell Eido the truth, and Mithrax still can't do it. Kind of continuing this theme of, you know, shame and guilt that we had during Season of the Haunted. This is kind of Mithrax's, except, you know, he doesn't have something haunting him. He has the specter of his past, really.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, his past is haunting him in a way.
oh,
Like I mean,
we've known that for, you know, since Survivor's Epitaph.
yeah, but
We've
I mean,
gotten that implication.
it's really coming to light now, though, with
Oh yeah.
Eido questioning him, and Spider, back and threatening to say things or do things, right? Like there's a lot going on for Mithrax.
So I want to do a little bit of speculation here because we haven't talked a ton of the story this season because there just hasn't been a lot to talk about, honestly. Um, we talked a bit about the basics. I love that Spider is a part of this season as an ally. Something I
Hmm.
definitely wasn't really expecting to happen now. Maybe next season or like during Lightfall. I kind of thought he would come back into the fray and like enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's pretty clear that we're about the only reason that he's still alive is by the grace of the Guardian and Drifter that
Hmm.
are allowing him to exist within the city. Like even Zavala and Ikor are like, if he steps out of line, basically we're gonna kill him before Mara
Right.
can. I think this brings up an interesting point though. There's been a lot of speculation on who is going to be the first Elixir Guardian because we're pretty clearly going to get somebody raised as a Guardian. I'm saying this season. I think that's the thing
Yeah.
that we see at the end of the season is one of them gets raised. There's been a lot of speculation that it's going to be Eido, and because she lives by the Guardian Creed and this and that, and I think that would be really bad character development personally to introduce her and then immediately do that because part of the deal
Yeah.
of being a Guardian is you forget who you were.
Yeah.
And I ultimately do think that Mithrax is going to save his daughter from Eramis,
Hmm.
and that will be what causes him to be raised in the light.
Yeah.
Is
I still think it's gonna be Mithrax, and
it
you're gonna
has?
have.
I think it has to be. He's the Kell of Light, and that would fulfill one of the long-running prophecies that we've heard about with the Kell of Kells.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, the only other thing I could think of is if you did the Savathun twist with Eramis, and like Eramis dies and then gets resurrected and becomes
That's
an
the problem.
ally.
You've already done that once. I don't think you can get away with that again.
I know. I would like to me that's an option and something that I could see happening, but I don't want them to do it again because they've already done it twice technically. Because
Yeah,
Crow.
twice technically is absolutely correct. I'm trying to find the exact lore piece while we're talking about this. I want to read the Kell of Kells prophecy because it basically lines up exactly for Mithrax.
Hmm.
Um, basically what it is the prophecy essentially states that a fallen warrior will come along, unite all of the houses under one banner, and under the Great Machine.
Hmm.
And that this elixir will be blessed by the Great Machine also.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's right now, as it stands, I don't know that there's a better redemption story in the series outside of Crow. Crow is a big asterisk on this.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a bigger and better redemption story than Mithrax.
Hmm.
This is a dude who ruthlessly hunted down guardians. We now know that the artifact he wore around his neck was like a finger or a claw of Nezarec,
Hmm.
which is kind of fucking creepy when you think about it.
Yeah.
And if that went from being like a birthright thing to like Elixir warriors were craving to have more and more of them.
Hmm.
But the theory about Mithrax being the Kell of Kells, this is something that's been kicked around since like 2019, 2018,
Hmm.
2019, like back
Hmm.
before Shadowkeep even dropped. It was being kicked around from when
Well, it
we
was being
got his
kicked.
lore book in Forsaken.
Yeah, it was being kicked around when I remember hearing the first time I really heard about it was when the Outbreak Perfected quest. I like when I started really
Yeah.
looking into who Mithrax was, because like I'd heard, obviously you hear the name, but like sometimes you just don't understand who characters are until you start really researching them, and I'm like, oh well, this could be really interesting.
Mm,
But now it's almost like I don't know, I feel like they're in a between a rock and a hard place now, because like this seems like too easy of a choice is to just give it to Mithrax, but then like they already did the whole let's make the villain an ally and give them the light, so you don't want to do it to Eramis, and Eido is too new. So like,
yeah.
what are you gonna do? Kill Varix and make him a guardian?
And it's funny because like we know that part of the reason why Varix hasn't been in the story as much is because of voice actor availability.
Yeah,
Which I hope they're able to rectify during Lightfall. Maybe not
yeah,
necessarily for the expansion, but for the seasons after. It would be a
yeah.
shame if we didn't get any. I really can't believe Varix is not part of this season.
Yeah.
Uh, that's shocking to me. Like that's the biggest thing that confirms like a voice actor, problem.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
because like
but I do think that's. Go ahead.
Varix was like so important to the storyline
I
for a little
think
bit.
that not having Varix though allows them to grow the character of Eido.
Yeah,
Because that was in a way like he was a scribe of House Judgment.
right.
Um,
Yeah, you think
the
that's why
Kell
they
of
did that?
possibly the Kell of
You
Kells,
think
like
that's
just
why
for
they?
background on this prophecy, we talk about how long we've been following the books of sorrow and the story of the hive and things like that. Kell of Kells is almost as long. That was introduced during
Yeah.
House of Wolves with Skolas.
Hmm.
Skolas
Yeah.
claimed that he was the Kell of Kells. He proclaimed
Hmm.
himself.
Hmm. I mean,
He proclaimed
you hear
himself.
that?
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say the exact phrasing that he says to us that he says is, "Listen to me, Wolfborn. Heed me, whirlwind scattered. I am the ghost of Kybal, the cunning claw of Iris, betrayed, chained, encrypted by the Queen, sent back from the darkness to save us all. The day of Kell and House end now. The calendar of slavery and abasement goes to the fire. We are a new calendar. We are an age of beginnings. Each of us is a day." So he doesn't say that to us. He says that in one of the, I believe it's in one of the Grimoire cards. But
Hmm.
that's pretty wild. Like we've known about the Kell of Kells prophecy for a long time. In fact, after he fled the prison of elders, Varix proclaimed himself Kell of Kells,
Hmm.
despite not having been blessed by the Traveler.
Yeah.
And that's to me, that's the biggest thing. Like you have Mithrax as the leader of House Light. It feels like such an obvious plot twist that I feel like there's going to be some sort of like hiccup here, but I
Hmm.
think it's perfectly lined up that Eido is the scribe of House Light. She now knows about the past of her father and of those Elixni captains who sought out Nezarec's artifacts. Who better to guide you back through it than that? She can be for him what Crow did not have at the beginning.
Hmm.
She can be for
Right.
him who we didn't what we didn't have, what Anna didn't have, what Elsie didn't have. Like there are so many characters who have spent all this time. Well, Elsie's not technically a guardian, but all these characters have been spent so much time trying to figure out who they were before the collapse or even after the collapse. And this would be the dawn of a new era. It would confirm that once your species is blessed by the Traveler, you're always blessed,
Hmm.
just like with the hive. And I feel like that's got to be the thing. Like this is a race that, yes, there are some sects like Skolosses, like the House of Wolves, that wanted to destroy the Traveler. They wanted to destroy the machine for leaving them, for forsaking them. But others, like Mithrax, in time came to worship the Traveler, in reverence. And that's why he's like, House Light, we will not dock we read it in last week's Lore Corner, we will not dock the arms of the dregs anymore. That, new things are starting now. And basically, Spider, if you want to be a part of this, you can be, but I'll kill you if you ever get out of line. They're pretty clearly setting it up for Spider and Varix to be his advisors if Mithrax is the first risen Elixni. Something else I want to kick out there. Fairly quickly. Now that he doesn't have a ghost anymore, Osiris. Let's talk Osiris for a second.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a ghost anymore. His life is kind of similar, more or less, to Eris's. We don't know if Eris will have everlasting life or if she will die a natural death at some point. We have never really had it confirmed of somebody's ghost that's been destroyed, to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
What if, given the bond between Saint and Mithrax now, and Saint, we know it's happened one time in the lore before, but I'd love if it happened on screen. This is the only situation where I would ever find it acceptable. What if Geppetto, Saint's ghost, was the one who raised Mithrax and became Mithrax's ghost instead, so that Saint could trade his immortal life for immortal life with Osiris?
I mean,
that's only happened one time before, and that was with Jaren Ward and Shin Malphur. Shin is the only Guardian who remembers who he was beforehand without anybody having to tell him.
Right. I think that would be cool, except that I almost think that would, I feel like Saint is going to be a bigger part in the last, couple seasons leading up to the big final battle or whatever.
I would hope so, considering Osiris is in the Q art.
Yeah. Although, I think it would be cool. It would be a cool kind of happy ending for Osiris and Saint, because we brought Saint back.
Yeah.
Right. And bringing him back to be with Osiris would be a super cool kind of ending for their story.
I mean, just like we saved Saint when Osiris asked us to help him. Now we would be saving Osiris for Saint. And I mean, I'm sorry, those two deserve to live in a little bit of peace and happiness. It's long been my theory that they will be two of the ones that leave the solar system with us at the conclusion of the Light and Dark saga.
Yeah. Well, to me, you would do that to try to wrap up endings for some of these characters, because after the final shape, I feel like they're gonna want to make some sort of soft, soft by the softest of terms, reset to get people into Destiny, right? And
I agree. Even if you're not going to call it Destiny 3, I do feel like something will happen. Maybe the back end will stay the same, but hey, new engine, technically a new title, things like that. Here's the base, but after this, it's just going to be adding the expansions. Things are going to live in the cloud, blah, blah, blah. We've talked about Goliath so much. I would love to see a future where Osiris and Saint go with you and are respectfully the Warlock and Titan vanguards.
Yeah, because I think Zavala is gonna die.
I don't know that Zavala dies, but I do think that they, when we talk about a soft reboot, I would say that I think that they leave him on Earth to lead humanity.
Yeah, that was my other thing, where okay, well, we're gonna leave the solar system and explore new worlds, but Zavala is gonna rebuild this solar system and stay on Earth, and him and Ikora maybe, and
I do think Ikora is dead by the end.
You think?
I think Ikora dies by the end. She's been so closely connected to so many of the mysteries that we've seen. She's been the one encouraging us to do certain things. And take action when Zavala won't, and this and that. I mean, she shows up to help us in the final fight against Savathun, for example. Granted, she doesn't do much, but she still shows up.
She just whips out Nova bombs and disappears.
I would if it was if Saint, Osiris, and Crow were the main three that went with you. Of course, Drifter would leave with you because Drifter wants to explore the stars. But I think
could see. I could totally see that as the new kind of like the new Vanguard, and somehow maybe I don't know, maybe they don't get ghosts, but maybe they find new ways to live, or maybe Osiris goes through the um Cloud Strider,
Oh, Osiris is
development program.
absolutely getting the power of Strand. He's absolutely
Yeah.
getting it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Is like I bet what if Osiris
He'll
does
get a
like
little
some
fish.
augmentations or something?
Yeah, I
Cloud
mean it's
Strider.
entirely possible. Like this will be completely uncharted territory, and like part of me hates that we're speculating about this now, but like we've been thinking about this for at least a year now. Like you and I have speculated on this show. Like I hope that part of it is that we take like yes, part of House Light will probably stay on Earth to live in
Mhm.
humanity, like in harmony with humanity. That is, I could
Mhm.
very much see Mara and Petra, while they're rebuilding the reef, maybe even appointing. I could even see Crow being appointed to maybe be the person who oversees them.
Yeah.
You know, who is the liaison between like them and the Vanguard, or them and the reef, or something like that. I could very much see that happening. Like Crow's original purpose.
Mhm.
And if that happens, oh, like Anna would go with us, but I can't see a popular character like Crow being left behind
Yeah.
for whatever the
No. I
next iteration of this game is.
Yeah, no. Crow's not being left behind.
It could be Spider at this point. Spider and Varix could be the ones.
Mm.
Mithrax leaves as lieutenants, but I think at that point, it's funny. Like it plays out in my mind. Like I keep coming back to Halo 3 when I think about how to end a story and how to kick off a new saga, and I think specifically to the scene between the Arbiter and the Spec Ops commander
Mhm.
after the funeral for Chief on the hillside, and when him and Hood talk, how they can't forgive each other, but thank you for standing by him until the end. Blah blah blah. And they're looking at the map, and the Spec Ops commander goes, things look different without the Prophet's lies clouding my eyes, you know,
Mhm.
but I would like to see our home to know that it's safe. And the Arbiter tells him, fear not, for we have made it so, and tells him to take them home. And the lone elite cruiser that's still there, the Shadow of Intent, leaves and departs for the elite homeworld. And I imagine a scenario where Mithrax and Eido, or Mithrax and Varix, leave with us, and like
Mhm.
of armada of Fallen and Cabal ships, for example, and they
Yeah.
go to resettle, or they go to settle new worlds. Like we say, maybe we tell the Cabal, you guys can have Mars.
Mhm.
That's Tortoball. That's Tortoball
Yeah.
for you guys, and like maybe even the Elixir are told, you know not Europa, because it's a cold, hellish wasteland, but maybe they're told Io or Venus is yours now. Like that's yours.
Yeah, but
You're all welcome to live within the city, but I could see Mithrax saying like, basically, I'm ready for an adventure and wanting to go to
yeah.
Reese. Like that's one of the
Yeah.
great mysteries is, can we see, even though it's been destroyed, could we rebuild it? Could that be a
Yeah.
plot line?
Yeah. But like why do they I mean they could what if they don't have to be separated either, you know? Like what if
Well, I do think that is going to be something that we deal with. Is like, why do we need to be separate anymore? We're all united under the Traveler now. Like,
yeah.
even if the Traveler is destroyed or vanishes after the final
Mhm.
fight, maybe
Yeah.
that's part of what we're doing is we're seeking out the Traveler, in our
Yeah.
expedition. But the leaders come together to make the new Vanguard.
Yeah.
Zavala, Petra. God, I hate that I'm mentioning her.
Keitel,
Hawthorne to represent the common people. Keitel and Mithrax like
the
come together.
commoner.
Yeah, well, like they come together to make the new consensus. Without Dead Orbit, without the politics of New Monarchy and the future War Cult and all that. Like,
Yeah. It could almost be like Mass Effect to an extent, like
yeah,
where like they
I
have like a
really, and I do think
council.
that's what you're going to see. Like these former enemies all united now under, basically under House Light, for lack of a better term. Like, so the cutscene may not have been massively impactful right off the bat, but I think
Mhm.
that this is going to be important for the second half of the seasonal storyline and for where we're going in the road to Lightfall,
Mhm.
because they keep bringing up Osiris. They keep saying, Mithrax keeps asking Saint about Osiris's condition, this and that. We see it in the lore. Everyone is asking about him. Mithrax has come to visit them personally, things like that. Osiris is waking up at some point, and I wonder if
It's got to be
Mithrax is
next
going.
season, though, right? You think it's next season, or you think they're going to use these relics to revive
I
him?
think these relics may tie into resurrecting him, and who better to channel darkness magic than Eris Morn?
Oh, God.
Eris has been shown these items by Drifter.
Yeah.
Drifter's getting her into the crew.
Yeah. Gosh, Eris is such a wacky character. Oh my gosh, she's like when we first met her, we thought remember when we thought she was going to be like a bad guy, and then she goes on these adventures with Drifter, and then she touches the darkness statues, and now she's just like, oh my gosh, she is just such a wacky character. Oh,
Yeah,
Eris.
the story is going wild places. We're hunting down fucking fingers right now, guys. Like, this is wild. I'm very curious to see where we go from here, though, because I think this is also, like, we've been saying it for a couple years now. If you're not reading the lore that you get from doing these weekly quests, you need to go read it, because you need to listen to the radio messages so you can read the lore books that come. They are still classified in the API. They declassify every 2 weeks. So next week we'll have a couple more to read. But what they're doing, you can get most of the story. You can get kind of like the surface level story and a lot of the emotional beats from playing the game. The lore kind of gives you the understanding of where we've been and where we're going, though. There's always hints and seeds planted for where we're going in there. And I think right now what they're doing with some of this lore is not only are we exploring Mithrax's past, for example, I think we're kind of exploring what may be happening in the future, though. Because at some point you have to plant those seeds for the future. And I think that that's part of what we're doing with Neomuna over on Neptune, is that's a hint of what humanity could have been without the collapse.
Right.
Or even without the Traveler.
Yeah.
And they managed to stay hidden all the while until now.
Which is crazy.
It's wild to think about. Part of me thinks it's because they needed to get another they needed something for a destination, because I really hope that the destination in Final Shape is the Witness's flagship or something wacky like that. Maybe kind of resembling that Darkness planet that we've seen in the concept art for years and years now.
I was just looking at that the other day because I was reorganizing my shelves over there, and I just sat and looked at some of the Destiny art books that I have, and it's like, man, I would love to see some of these places, and I wonder if Nia Luna is going to be the when you start thinking about us exploring outside of the solar system, what if something like that is the kind of the new tower, right? Where maybe we go there and that's kind of how we reach outside the solar system, because we have to move further away. I don't know. I know that's probably not it. I know we probably have some, maybe the Helm is it. Maybe, there's another place that we find, but I don't know. Exploring deep space.
Yeah. Kind of some things to think about. I want to circle back to this conversation on December 8th, when we are almost certainly guaranteed to get the next story trailer for Lightfall. That is the night of the Game Awards. Historically, Destiny has had a pretty big presence at Jeff Keighley events. Bungie in general has, really, dating back to the Halo days. But that is also 2 days after the launch of the final season, before Lightfall. So we will know the story beats by then, and we'll know kind of, okay, here's where we're at. How do we get to Callus's invading LA from Blade Runner 2049? How do we get to this point?
Right.
Because I don't know if us running around being pirates and getting the Scallywag title is really setting us up for being Blade Runners.
I don't know. Pirates.
It's a pretty great soundtrack. I would like to call attention to the fact that if you do just the intro quest for this season, you can claim the seasonal soundtrack on Bungie Rewards for free. Bungie has not released any of the seasonal music since the Forsaken Annual Pass. We've gone almost 3 years without seasonal releases. We get the ones for the big expansions, but we don't get them for the seasons anymore. So that's kind of nice to be able to go get. The last time I think they gave us the Grasp of Avarice track. We got some Solstice of Heroes music, and I think we got the Prophecy music, and that's really the only things we've gotten given to us since then. And this is a really good music suite this season.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Pirates.
Why is the rum always gone?
Oh my gosh. Why is there not a jar of dirt in the Elixir quarter?
Oh man, there's a battle bus there.
I know.
I keep looking for a Fall Guy bean.
Yeah, somebody will find it.
Let's hit this TWAB real fast. There's not a lot in here this week. Response to national disasters for September, including Hurricane Fiona, Super Typhoon Namadol, 7.6 earthquake that was in Mexico, and more. Humanitarian partners are rapidly and efficiently responding to these disasters and ensuring the communities impacted are receiving life-saving care. We are hosting the Team Rubicon Preparedness Month campaign throughout the month of September. Kind of nice for us to find out with 8 days to go in September, but for example, they have a team on the ground in Puerto Rico right now to assist with the catastrophic flooding that's happened there. If you've seen any of the videos from Puerto Rico, or especially Pakistan is the one that really moved me a couple weeks ago when I was seeing the floods there, destroying so many of their crops. Like 30% of the country doesn't have housing now, or something insane like that.
Right.
And it's one of the most populated countries in the world.
It's crazy.
They are this team is planning to check in with families whose roofs were rebuilt after Hurricane Maria in 2017 to ensure they were able to withstand the latest weather event and offer additional support. They have already raised $200,000 for this initiative with about a week to go. All funds go to Rubicon's Unrestricted Ready Reserve Fund, which fuels all aspects of their mission and allows the organization to flex when and where disasters hit. And donations also drive year-round preparedness work, including volunteer training, mitigation efforts, and long-term recovery. If you donate $50 or more, you will receive a special emblem. If you do it by Friday, September 30th, it is a pretty cool emblem. Obviously, it's a help if you can thing. I know it's a lot of people look at that like, it's a pretty steep price for an emblem. Bungie used to do shirts and stuff. But it's not about the physical or digital reward that you get. It's about helping people if you're able to. So, just that. While we're talking rewards, physical and digital, there's a lot of stuff in the Bungie store. We mentioned the soundtrack that is available for free right now, which I really hope becomes a theme going forward, where you get that for free if you play the first mission of the season. I think that's a really cool little thing, and you got to do it during the season in order to get it, I believe. And then, of course, there is the gift from the Light Thunder Gods chest. When you open that and equip all the stuff, you get a Thunderlord shirt, kind of the same etching that was on a long sleeve shirt years ago. There's the Scalawag seal, a ball cap, and a Lucian moth that you can earn for doing stuff within the Witch Queen campaign. Post-campaign, I guess I should say, collecting all the moths, which we have read all the lore from that, by the way, back during Season of the Risen. We read for all the moths, so that's where we got Finch's ghost stories from, for example, and some stories from Imaru's point of view in the Hive Ghosts. That's what those stories tell. But the only other thing we really have here, Corey hit on this earlier, Eververse.
My favorite.
Last season, they did something where there were 3 legendary ornaments, each tied to an exotic. And if you had the exotic equipped while you had that, last season it was class items. If you had the class item equipped and the exotic piece of armor, the class item and the armor piece would glow and do something special. Well, this season, we have 3 new pieces, and they're chest pieces. We
Uh,
have, for Warlocks, the Robes of Nezarec. It works with Nezarec Sin. Titans have the Doomfang plates, which work with the Doomfang gauntlets, obviously. And then Hunters is the Vest of Orpheus, which work with the Orpheus rigs. I'm going to say it right now. The Hunter chest piece sucks.
mhm.
It sucks. I actually really like the other two, though.
Yeah, I mean, I can see if you use the non-ornamented Doomfangs, like that
Yeah,
chest piece would look really cool. But I use the ornament with the wings on it, so
it looks a little
because
silly.
yeah, I mean the purple horns just look stupid. Uh, and I actually really like the Warlock set here. Um, Man, the more and more I see of the stuff, I just should have. I'm like, man, maybe I should try a Warlock, but I'm like, nah, nah. We got a nerd generalist for that, and Andre for that.
We do. I would be lying if I said I wasn't considering picking up those Robes of Nezarec. As far as I'm concerned, I think the Warlocks are 2 for 2. I liked the Battle Harmony uh,
Uh-huh.
bond last season.
Yeah, I
So
really like the class item for the Titan last season or the last season too.
yeah, I think the Falling Star mark was awesome.
Yeah, I
Uh,
wear it all the time,
I think
regardless if I'm
Hunters are
wearing
0 for 2. I did not like the Bacchus cloak.
this chest piece. By the way, for the hunter, looks like maybe you picked it up as your first blue Ingram.
It looks like a blue Ingram, or like I just picked up a hunting vest off the ground and put a snake on it. It
Yeah,
looks really bad. Like, I'm actually surprised this thing isn't camouflage. It's so bad. Looks like
it
something you
could
buy at
be. Just
fucking
put,
Cabela's.
dude, just put one of those EDZ uh green shaders on. You
It's
can make
so
that
bad.
camo if you really want to,
It's so bad. I don't
and
like
put a
it at
orange
all.
put a orange shader on your gun. You could be playing Cabela's Real Hunts on in Destiny.
My
Just
fucking
saying.
god. Let's we don't normally jump to questions this early, but I want to make sure that we get to questions this week because I in my
We forgot
gusto
last week.
forgot last week. So we actually have a, pretty decent backlog of questions. Oh god damn it! Did I delete them on accident?
What, in the Discord? Are they in the Discord?
No, they should be in the Discord. I had them screenshotted, and I don't think I did it on my phone. I think I did it on my computer and like accidentally erased it. Oh, I've got them. I got them. We're good. We're good. I got them. I got them. We're gonna start with Andre. It's
Andre?
fitting. His question is fitting here because we just talked about these. With all these exotic pairing ornaments, what's one combo that you'd like to see? And if you had to say, what would be the effect the combo has? For example, Celestial Nighthawk with the hawk boots, and the boots glow as well as the helmet. So,
Hmm.
Corey, if you could pick one piece of Titan armor to get an ornament that worked with it, what would it be?
Man, so the thing is they already did a set of Saint 14 armor, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get it because I didn't feel like paying $20 for it or $15 or whatever it was.
It was a season pass set.
Was it?
Yep.
Oh, well, let's be honest. I didn't play a lot of
Because I
the
have it on
Season
all
of the
3
Worthless.
classes.
Dang it. Oh well. Well, there you go. There, look, that just proves how much Destiny I was playing during Season of the Worthy. Man, I think I would actually really, really like some sort of hmm. Man, I think I want some sort of solar uh ornament, but I don't know what I would throw on with it, you know.
Would you want something that maybe works with Lorelei? Like, what if you had like flame jets coming out of a chest piece when you had Lorelei equipped?
I mean, maybe, I guess, but there's already a chess piece with flames in it.
Well, what about a good chest piece with flames in? Because this would be a
I mean,
legendary
that's true.
ornament. Keep in mind.
Yeah, I know. Um, Man, this is a tough one. This is a really tough one. and I did not have time. I did not think about it, to be honest
Well,
with
I'm
you.
gonna let Corey think for a few more seconds. I'll go ahead and answer with mine.
Yes, Josh, save
Um,
me! Help! Help!
so I'm not gonna follow Andre's lead. I probably would have said something relating to Celestial Nighthawk. Um, I am going to say Stompies, but I want arms that go with the Stompies, and I want them to like kind of look like very like bare bones, almost like mechanical robot ones with like some brass knuckles on the end. So like instead of just
Mm,
stomping, I'm also like punching somebody. I want them
yeah.
to, instead of being called Stompies, I want the arms to be called Fisties.
Mm,
And I want them to like have like this little like arc current running along. Like you could see it like running not only through the Stompies, but you could see it running through your arms as well. Like almost giving you
right.
like electro knuckles. That's what I want.
Right. Mm. All right. I actually have a good one now.
Hit me.
Okay.
Hit me.
So I would like some sort of like probably some gauntlets to go with this. So Axiom War Rig, right? A lot of people
Hmm.
use this with uh
Sweet business.
sweet business back in the day. But what I was thinking, Josh, okay, you give me some gauntlets. So you know the pre-order auto rifle that get that shoots out little mini rockets? What if you got some gauntlets that if after so many hits with an auto rifle or of some sort that it just shot out little rockets out of your gauntlets, and then like you just saw like whatever subclass you're wearing, that color just flew through the top of your Titan.
Okay. Okay.
Little like War Machine, little ex-wife, boop, but worked. You know,
I can dig it. I can dig it.
just saying. I think that'd be cool. Took me a minute. Took me a minute to think of that.
It's all good. It's all good.
Sorry, I was not prepared, everybody.
We're gonna move on to our next one. This comes from Tiger Jesus 64. Question: do you think we will still get 2 raids a year when they run out of raids to bring back?
Well, they still technically have
Yes,
like 4 raids to bring back, so
they have 2. They have 2. So I'm counting bringing back raids as something that's never existed in D2. That's my definition of this because they've said like
okay.
we're getting 1 new and 1 reprised raid. You still have 2 raids to bring back. You have Crota's End, and you have, if Crota's End is not reworked into some other activity, which it almost certainly will be.
Yeah.
We've penciled Wrath of the Machine in for next year. I'm gonna say yes because I think it's too expected now, and you can't continue charging what you do for the annual pass if you're not going to have
Mhm.
2 raids and 2 dungeons. I think that's inexcusable at that point.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
Liana replied to somebody earlier today who was asking, like, are you guys going to continue staying silent on PvP? And she says, she goes, no, we actually have some really cool things behind the scenes to share with you guys. And I mean, of course, like that's standard PR speak. She goes,
Right.
we're going to share some things this season. We're kind of getting all our ducks in a row now that we've got the story rolling for this season. We have some stuff to share with you guys pretty soon. We got Festival of the
Mhm.
Lost coming up and whatnot. We know the comp rework is coming next season, supposedly.
Right.
But she says a lot of the hiring that they've done recently and the beefing up of the team has been specifically for PvP, is the insinuation she was doing. So it's similar to how last year's was focused almost entirely on dungeon and raid teams so that we could get a dungeon or a raid every single season.
Right.
Since they moved so many of those designers now we know moved into the campaign.
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious to see what they do. I think 2 original raids a year might be a stretch. Like I could very easily see them saying, "Well, all the Destiny 1 raids are back. Now let's start bringing back D2 raids because by then
I
it's
could I could totally see them doing that now too. I mean, look,
unfortunately I could.
Scourge of the Past for me it was better than Leviathan, but like
I mean, we all
I
know
think
my feelings on the Leviathan raids. I'm in no rush to ever go back there.
I
Um
I hate the Leviathan raid. I would rather them bring Crota's End back than run
I
Leviathan again.
it's funny, like I think Leviathan was unique at the time. I don't think it is anymore. Um I think it had a unique difficulty to it when it first came out as well, when there was really like no meta that first year outside of Cold Heart.
Yes, I love when dogs are out roaming around before you start the encounter.
Yeah. Um, I think I think it's going to be a bit of an issue. Um,
I love when the bells don't ring in the bathhouse, even though everybody does what they're supposed to do.
I do, but to answer your question, yes, I do think that we are going to continue to get 2 raids a year. Whether they're going to be original or if they're going to start being D2 reprised raids is another thing entirely.
Yeah.
That's a question for another day because I'd really need to like think on that one. In particular,
Something else they could do, Josh, I was thinking a little bit when I did actually see this question. What if they took current raids and switched up encounters to change, like, to, I don't know, maybe change up the story element, because they've done that with strikes before, and I get that, like, raids are entirely different beasts, but like we talked about this when Kingsfall, like right before Kingsfall came out, what if they changed it just enough to where like Savathun was at the end and you were fighting her, and granted that obviously doesn't have anything to do with the story now, but like at the time we were kind of, what if Kingsfall was like, hey, Savathun is the big bad, or you know maybe instead of War Priest you're fighting Zivu Arath or something.
I think that would be rough. And let me explain why. I think the charm of bringing back the raids is so that you can experience the stories like in full. Like I have no doubt that the
Mm-hmm.
Leviathan raid will now come back at some point so that we
Mm-hmm.
fully know the story of Callus.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh
God,
God,
I
what if
can't.
that's the revised raid
I was
next
about
year?
to say that. What if that's the one we get instead of Wrath of the Machine? Literally, Bungie will never hear the end of it, and
I'm
rightfully
gonna.
so.
I don't, please, no. Look. Wrath of the Machine fits in with the Strand technology, the Siva stuff. It fits.
Joe Blackburn, we're making a direct appeal to you. Please don't do this.
Everybody tweet this segment out at Joe Blackburn. Please do
Please,
not bring
Joe,
back
please, we
Leviathan.
don't, please, bro, we don't want to go back to the Leviathan again. Oh my god,
It
dude,
scares me
I'm
though
like
because they've
so
already
scared that it's gonna happen now. I feel like we just spoke
they
it into
already brought it
existence.
back as a space to play in.
I know the space to play in, fine, okay, fine, whatever.
I
But
know, but they already have it running
there's
in this
four
revised
fucking
engine.
raids on that thing.
I'm aware, and I don't want to do a single
I
one
would
of
say at
them.
this point, I would say we're truly missing 3D2 raids because I would almost guarantee that they would rework both Eater of Worlds and Spire of Stars into being dungeons
Yeah,
instead.
yeah.
God, could you imagine if one of those was a reprised raid?
Oh my
That'd get the
god.
same reaction that Crota would. We would just, the people would be insufferable, and I don't blame them. We're moving
Look,
on to
I
another
wouldn't
question because I cannot
wait.
dwell on the
No, look,
Leviathan.
I actually wouldn't mind if they were reworked into dungeons and like smaller and more concise and more compact. But like, dude, no, you can't look. Rat, dude, it's got to be Wrath the Machine. All right, you know what?
It's got to
Move
be.
move along, please. I'm getting upset. I'm getting really upset now. I
We have a question
cannot.
from Joasis. What game mode would you like to see in PvP? And let me give a slight follow up. Personally, I'd love to see snipers only on a big map or an exotic gun game. Something called Oops All Specials, and it's only special weapons. Everything has unlimited ammo. My response to this was that would be a great mode because it would let me know what week to avoid playing Crucible. I cannot say this emphatically enough. I would never touch that mode with a 10-foot pole. I already don't like special weapon dominance in PvP, and that would make it even worse.
So the first two things that came to my mind,
Also,
Josh.
I've been doing sniper shotty in multiplayer games for 22 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Pass. We left that shit behind in Blood Gulch.
So there were three things that came to my mind when I saw this question. One of them is actually pretty serious, but the other ones are like
I
joking.
want more party modes, so
Yeah. So okay. So two of them are actually old Halo modes that we used to play. So remember Wizard with rockets, Wizard rockets. That was fun. That was fun. Everybody brings a rocket launcher in and just destroys each other on tiny maps.
that could be really fun. Oops, all Gallarhorns would be pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah,
Instead of Team Scorched, Team Galley would be pretty funny.
yeah. Uh, and then we used to play hang 'em high with only pistols. So if you could
Yeah.
bring in like only hand cannons or sidearms, that would be pretty cool. And then I saw a video the other day of someone just demolishing everybody with slappers only in GoldenEye.
I think an
If you
abilities
could
only.
only
I think
melee
an
people.
abilities mode only would be pretty funny, but that would probably get stale really fast. That would have to be like a special event thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, that's a
the
joking one,
winner here for
obviously.
me is Upsal Galley,
Yeah. That'd be super
and I
cool.
want
Like,
it to be called that too.
hmm
I would love to see a mode in Destiny that's just completely stupid and ridiculous, like Griffball.
hmm
Um, on a
I mean,
PvP note, though,
that'd be cool though.
there was word going around this week that Bungie supposedly is patenting a map maker tool
hmm
similar to Forge. That would
I
almost
saw that
certainly
too.
be for the PvP focused game that they're doing, but
hmm
could you see, like, maybe if somebody makes a really cool map in there, them saying, "Hey, we don't really want to use it in here. Could we put it in Crucible instead?" I don't know that that would go over well, but it could be interesting as far as I'm concerned.
I don't know. I think a lot of things, and I know Destiny is a totally different game than Halo,
Yeah.
but a lot of the stuff I've been seeing, like especially in the Forge beta stuff that they've been showing off, like somebody built Andy's bedroom from Toy Story in there, and somebody, there's a lot of cool stuff in Forge, and I think if you present a Forge style mode in Destiny, people would understand that these are custom game modes. And
Hmm.
if somebody created something really cool, maybe you rotate it in the obviously the non-competitive playlist, right? Like I think you could do something really cool, and I think it would get people invested more in PvP who aren't sweaty, like I think it would be cool. I mean, I think it would make me more interested in playing more PvP than I do.
I agree. I think that
Not that.
there's so much creativity that you could do, and I think that would cut down on part of your problem with not getting enough maps out.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, like, no matter how you slice it, if a tool like that comes in, it's gonna be like, "Oh, Bungie can't make enough maps. They had to get the community to do it for free." Like, bro, fucking Forge has been doing this for like 15 years. Like,
Yeah.
calm your dick down, okay? Like,
Yeah.
sit down and shut up.
Yeah, like
Um,
somebody built Guardian from Halo 3 and Forge mode for Halo Infinite. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, man, that's all they need."
Somebody built part of Night City in there.
Yeah.
Like, there's some really cool shit being. It's the same guy who did Andy's bedroom is now working on building the Shire from Lord of the Rings.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Just like this is fucking wild. Like, these are the people that you should probably consider coming to get to work on your game. Um,
Yeah. Didn't they
so
say too their PvP maps are coming straight from Forge mode?
yes, I believe so. I mean, that's the intent of Forge, though. Like, not only make your own creations, but hey, if it's something that's good enough and gets enough traction in the community, like, Halo's always thrown those into map rotations. They've done it for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So, kind of curious to see if they'd go forward with that. We have an interesting question from Joasis as well. He definitely meant this as a joke, but I'm reading it anyways, and I'm slapping his name to it. What character in the Destiny universe would be the one to start an annual orgy? We all know the answer
X.
here. No, dude, it's the fucking Drifter.
Oh.
It's
Well,
got to be the
yeah.
Drifter.
Yeah.
Hey there, you ready to play some Gambit? Well, it's a Gambit, all right.
Pirates, but not what you think.
Not oh Jesus. Um, so when we got some questions, those were all last week's questions. We got a couple questions this week. Nerd Generalist, I think, asks the most thought provoking question of the week, and I don't know that I have an answer for this yet. Fair warning here. If our Guardian dies at the end of the Light and Dark saga and they get put in an exotic weapon, what is the name of that exotic and what are its special traits?
I was actually thinking about this the other day.
I'll let you
Well,
go first then while
not
I
the other
think of an
day.
answer.
No, I was thinking of this when I saw the question, and I was actually thinking, like, what if at the end of the Light and Dark saga, your Guardian dies, and that's how maybe that's how they bring in like Destiny 3, and like maybe you get to pick other races other than human and awoken and exo, maybe you get to make an Elixni or a
I mean,
Cabal
that
or
you would
something.
almost certainly have to. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think like, yeah, I think if you have save data from Destiny 2 or something, you automatically get the exotic of your Guardian from the previous games, and maybe it's called uh maybe it's called the Guardian, or maybe it's called uh well, they already did the chosen one, didn't they? Maybe they call it well, I almost said Traveler's Chosen, but they took that too.
I've got
Uh
one for you.
do it.
I would call it Guardian's Oath. I'm gonna make it a sword, and its special trait is you can switch between like a hybrid attack mode. Think the anime slashing mode that you can do on Lament,
Hmm.
or if you go into defend mode, anybody can create a well.
Yeah.
Anybody can create a well of light. It wouldn't be as powerful as a warlock well, but it would still be a well of light.
Hmm.
I think specific, and I would give it one more special ability. If champions are still a thing, it can stun any type of champion.
Yeah.
It can stun any
Uh
type of champ. Basic, and I want its text to just say for the Guardian. That's all I want. Or like say like it says like when you hold this weapon close, you hear a wolf faintly howling. A
yeah.
young wolf
Yeah.
faintly howling.
That'd be
Because I
cool.
would
That'd be a
use the
cool
young
ability
wolf
for a sword.
howl, but that's already an exotic.
That'd be cool. That'd be a cool thing for the sword though. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
like you know how Fallen Guillotine came with that, like, it shoots out like light sometimes. What if it shot out wolves, like light wolves?
Let me go one step further. What if when you stab it into the ground, you have an option in your perk tree that you can select it either to create a well or it creates a canonical copy of your guardian to fight alongside you for 10 seconds.
That'd be awesome. That'd be super cool.
I want it to play the
Uh
Rise of Iron music when I do it, though.
yeah, man, Rise of Iron, man.
I don't like Rise of Iron, but I like the music.
Oh, I love Rise of Iron. Uh man.
Let me customize the musical cue that comes out when I stick the sword in the ground. I'm getting far
Yeah.
too carried away, but all I'm saying is it has to be the most busted fucking exotic of all time and has to continually shut the game down. Because
Yeah.
it's our guardian and canonically we keep breaking the universe.
Yeah. What if
Just
the
saying.
weapon's just called Destiny?
What if it's just called Telesto 2?
Oh god.
It's a blue Telesto.
Oh no. um
Put my soul in my Jotun, boys.
yeah. Uh I don't know. I was thinking
Call it
like
the sandwich
so
casual.
yes. And it just shoots out sandwiches.
Oh, dude. Bring it on.
You look, its perk is it has a pop-up card of Earl of Sandwich, and the Earl just makes sandwiches for the guard.
The Earl fights alongside you.
Yeah. Uh
Unbelievable.
oh man.
Unbelievable.
I had some good ones and then I forgot about it because now all I can think about is Earl of Sandwich, which 6 weeks, Josh. 6 weeks.
6 weeks, man. The
I will
countdown is
be
on.
I will be munching on some Earl of Sandwich. Very excited.
So I'm gonna save the next question as my last one. Because I want to circle back to it. World Jukebox basically asked the same thing that Andre did. Sorry, Trevor, we already answered this.
Mm.
It's also where I
It's been a
said that
week, Trevor.
I would enjoy seeing a warlock piece called the Ass of the Stag.
Mm.
I did say that at one point today, in which I was told the game is rated T for T. Josh, read the room, and I said my only answer was, "Have you ever heard me speak on this podcast?" Um, what do you think? This is from Joasis. What do you think is the worst exotic armor piece they've ever released for each class? I'm not going to do for each class just because like we don't play enough variety of classes. Honestly, we really needed a warlock here to answer this one. So warlocks,
Yeah.
write in with your answers for next week.
Yeah.
Corey, I'm going to let you go. What's the worst Titan exotic?
Oh my gosh, the worst Titan exotic. I know a lot of people want me to say Dune Marchers, but I'm not going to because it's just an inside joke between me and my friends that
I
I
mean, Dune Marchers has a purpose, though. That's the thing.
I know, but every time I wear them, people just like yell at me and be like, "Why are you wearing those?"
Well, I mean, if you're doing
Uh,
a raid, sure.
yeah, no. Look, Dune Marchers were very, very good in the Gauntlet of the Leviathan. Okay, they made me fast. Uh, Man, the worst Titan exotic. I want to say it's one of the Gauntlet pieces. I think it's probably. Hmm. I I would have to I would actually probably have to say something like uh I would have to say like Stronghold is pretty worthless cuz nobody uses swords to block. That's probably my opinion. Also maybe Worm God Caress is not very. I mean, if you're
Hmm.
building a melee build, I guess, but like Titans already punch people hard, so it seems kind of redundant. Those would probably be my two at this point.
I'm gonna say that, man, for hunters, this is a little bit difficult because like a lot of things have gotten great perks and bonuses over the last couple of years. A lot of buffs. It's fucking Oath Keepers though. So
Mm,
Oath Keepers, for those of you who don't know, this is the intrinsic perk. Bow charges can be held indefinitely. It's fucking Oath Keepers. Oath
yeah.
Keepers is something that I need in my D&D campaign for my rogue, which is in no way related to Destiny 2. I don't need them in D2. This is I was gonna say it's something having to do with Arc because man,
Hmm.
Raiju's Harness and Blight Ranger are pretty fucking high up on that list.
Hmm.
But Oath Keepers, man, I keep forgetting this thing exists, and every time I remember, I get a little more upset.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
absolutely the worst.
Now
Absolutely the
that
worst.
now that you said that, I actually think Peacekeepers are pretty pretty bad too. For Titans, they're the exotic boots that reload stowed submachine guns. That's its perk.
Yeah, that's not
Uh,
great either. Mechaneer strict
that
sleeves are pretty
eh,
high, but sidearms are pretty good. So, I mean, the
yeah.
right build, you can make those work. But man, Oath Keepers, there's no fucking point.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, peacekeepers do improve your handling with SMGs, but like I remember people were running this with Risk Runner, I think, for a while. But man, these are just they're worthless.
Our next question, we have two quick questions we're gonna go through here. So Corey,
Hmm.
fuck Mary Kill, Last
Oh god.
Wish, Scourge of the Past, Garden of Salvation.
Oh god. So so here's the thing. Out of these three raids, I've only run Scourge of the Past,
Oh, okay. Well,
but I know people like Last Wish. So,
I mean,
and I
yeah,
hear pretty bad things about Garden. So, I think it would probably be I really liked Scourge of the Past, so I would
that's
marry
fair.
Scourge
That's
of the
fair.
Past.
Okay, okay.
Uh uh fuck Last Wish and kill Garden.
So I'm gonna go in a bit of a different direction here.
Oh boy.
Let's get this out of the way right off the bat. I'm killing Garden. I'm killing Garden of Salvation. Fuck that raid. It's not even worthy of the fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna marry Last Wish because
Mm,
that's the best it's ever gonna get. Okay, like it's a pinnacle experience in Destiny 2. You fight a fucking space dragon. It's
that's
wild.
true.
It's wild. It's you've had a taste of it. You don't ever want anything that's beneath that ever again. And I'm gonna fuck Scourge of the Past because it's fast, it's crazy, but after you do it, you're like, there's not a whole lot there. So you're in and out. You're in and out. Okay, no long-term commitments here. You raise a little anarchy. You know, you're you're out
That's
of
fair.
you're out of time. It's one of those things. We have another fuck Mary kill here
Oh God.
from Nerd Generalist
Oh,
between
oh no.
Morgoth, Vorgoth, and Golgoroth. So, for reference, Morgoth is the ogre in Last Wish. Vorgoth is the taken ogre in the Shattered Throne, and Golgoroth, of course, is the ogre in King's Fall.
Okay, so we're gonna marry Gogoroth. We're going to fuck the one in the Shattered Throne and kill the one in Last Wish.
I think I'm gonna go the exact same way. The one in Last Wish, easy to down, not worth the effort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shattered Throne, okay, cool. A little tricky to read at first, but then you conquered it at the end. Golgoroth, man, I don't have anything safe for work to say about Golgoroth, so Golgoroth is who I'm marrying.
I like the new Gogoroth, or not the new Gogoroth, but I like the Gogoroth encounter in King's Fall. I like that.
I have something to tell you off camera about the Golgoroth raid and how John
Oh no.
described it to people that we were teaching over the weekend.
Oh
Our
no.
final question. I'm not answering Joasis's other question, which was fuck, marry, kill between the three types of Taniks that we fight. I'm absolutely not answering that. I'm not answering that, Joe. You cannot bait me into a Taniks question.
Nope.
Our final question.
Taniks is not welcome here.
No. Pose that question to Eramis. They were lovers. And yes, that is canonical with the lore. Final question comes to us from Tiger Jesus. What raid boss room would you like a Lego set of? The second that
cool.
Nerd saw this asked, he goes, oh God, just forget all the other questions. That's all Josh is going to think about the rest of the day. He was not wrong. I've put a lot of thought into this.
Yeah. What you go first then, because
the one that I
have
want
thoughts.
to buy more than anything, because when I think of it, I think of a good boss arena.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I would like a Lego Oryx, I just want a Lego Oryx. I don't want the actual King's Fall arena because I think it's kind of a shitty boss arena.
Yeah.
I would want like the sisters to be up there and like some platforms that you could jump on if you're taken.
Yeah.
I want the Thunderdome. I want all of it. If I
Mm-hmm.
was making an actual arena into a set, I would want to either make the Scourge of the Past arena, but that's a boring boss. I think building a mech, okay, I've done that a dime a dozen in Lego sets. I can't believe I'm going to say these words. I would consider building Crown of Sorrow. So that I can build my very own Big Chungus.
That's fair.
People were throwing a nerd suggested Vault of Glass so we could have a Lego Atheon. I have an Atheon that is a Mega Constructs. It is still packed away, but I promise I will bring it to next week's show and prove to y'all that I have one of these. I have that, and I have the original Guardian Acadia ship that are both built and sit on my desk at all times. I will bring those to the show next week. If I can find what box the Guardian ship got put in, because I haven't seen it since the move, and I'm a little scared of where it is. Corey, what boss fight would you want?
I mean, I think Atheon's platform and his, I think that would be like the coolest one to display.
I think with the actual like vault door behind him would be really cool to build too as a Lego.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I think about Riven and I think about building a giant space dragon, and it gets really exciting.
I mean, that's also fair, that's fair.
I would like for part of Riven to be like transparent on one side, so it shows you the beginning of where the Queen's Walk is when you rip the heart of Riven out.
Yeah,
I think that would be
part
really
of
cool.
me. So part of me actually wanted like the death tank from Wrath of the Machine.
Oh my God, Corey wants the Death Zamboni.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
No Death Zambonis here.
Also, the Wrath boss room would be cool. I think that would be kind of cool, especially with like the ceiling and him hanging down off the ceiling and like I think that'd be kind of cool.
I do not remember enough about Wrath of the Machine is still the only one that I've never finished. So,
Oh man. Or like, it'd be cool though. And like Wrath, you know how you like walk down that long bridge into the diamond shaped room? It's so
mm-hmm.
cool. And then like you could like open up the middle room and there'd be like a little Outbreak Prime sitting there waiting for you. That'd be cool.
Ay, ay, ay.
I
All
love Wrath of the
right.
Machine.
Let's hit some lore corner and then let's get out of here.
Let's do it. Lore corner,
Lore
everybody.
corner. So I was going to read Divinity tonight. I'm pretty sure we've read it in the past, but with a bunch of people in the community getting it recently, we have actually had some requests for us to read Divinity. I'm gonna write up a special lore corner for Divinity because I think it goes beyond just the lore tab on the gun. I think the story behind Divinity and like the theology, like the theory, not theology, like the theory of it, the weapon theory of it that I didn't get this week, is what I want to explore of that gun. So I kind of want to I want to take Divinity. Anybody asking, you can go read the Divinity tab on your own, or go watch Bife's incredible video on it. I want to take that. I want to put that in our back pocket for
Put it away, put a pin in it, just
let's put a
put
pin
it
in
in
it.
there.
I want to put a pin in it and save it for maybe as we get closer to the end of this season, if we have time to circle, if I have time to circle back to it, then we'll do it. If not, we will do it. We will for sure get to it before Lightfall, but I have a feeling this is going to be one of those that I research over the holidays, and write a video up on just when I get a break in my schedule, and with the literal avalanche of shit that I'm sitting under right now. So Divinity, I've heard the requests. I know Ronnie was asking about it, and there were a few others talking about the lore of the gun in the Discord. We will get to it eventually, I promise. It just probably won't be until Christmas or later. Um, let's hit the. I said I was saving one last week, specifically for this week. I kind of had a feeling that we were going to get some stuff revealed this week, in regards to what artifacts we were hunting, and that was right. These are the events that lead right up to the moment that they get the pyramid open that we see in the cutscene. The Whispering Dark. Remember, of course, this is from the book Above All Else. This is the story of Mithrax's mother. At least right now, through 2 entries, it's the story of his mother, even if that wasn't clear initially. We had sailed the long drift for centuries, but I had yet to come to terms with our new reality. My son had only borne witness to a fraction of it. He was still young, still struggling to understand his place in the world. The 2 children from the House of Dancers, Rakus and Sivkis. Those names are pretty familiar. That's I believe Spider and his brother. Were
Mm-hmm.
slightly older and had become his reluctant friends. They protected him from the adolescents who would steal his ether when I wasn't looking. It was not a family to me, not truly. I had yet to understand that Ketch is kin. Once we found the great machine, we learned that it had uplifted a whole new species, granted them power beyond anything it had ever bestowed to us. That betrayal drove some in our house to despair, others to death, and many to violence. Adapting to this betrayal was to be our next challenge. I listened to the poison minded advice of soft shelled cowards and tried to speak with the great machine's new chosen, our usurpers. They repaid the machine's kindness with violence, killed 3 of my closest friends. I later discovered that they shucked their carcasses and wore their chitlin as armor. We learned all we could about these usurpers, like how their limbs were supple and could be pulled from their bodies far easier than our own kind. I came to love the sound of their screams. If violence was the only language they spoke, so be it. Time had made me fluent. Some of my house refused to abandon the old ways. The fools draped themselves in the naive raiment of splicers, praying to a god that doomed us all. They could contemplate their failure with what was left of their lives in the cold dark. I had no time for them, save for goading them into raids. If we wanted to retake the great machine, we would not do it by prostrating ourselves like weeping children. We would take it by force. We killed the machine's chosen, taking what we could, rooting through the rotten innards of their dying world. We took refuge in the shadows of their dusty moon, where the usurpers' ruins stuck out like bones from the dust. It was empty, it was silent, but there was value to be had in picking those old bones clean. On what such expedition, I strapped my son to me and set out to pick over a bounty of bones. But it was not the spoils of Spingable, the plates of hard sheet, or the fragments of clear cut that proved the most valuable. It was what we found buried beneath the bones, what was buried deep. We traversed that day into dark tunnels when something hideous festered beneath this moon's surface. Horrific creatures that stank of wet soil, shrieked like dying animals, and tore at flesh. They possessed a ferocity we had never seen before, and my raiding party was being whittled down one by one. But when it seemed like these creatures were to finish the rest of us off, they relented. They appeared to hear something, something that terrified them, something that left us to wonder, what are monsters afraid of? The creatures scurried back into their warrens and vanished into the subterranean temple they spilled out of. And for a moment, I thought I heard something too. Something soft, a whisper, but as forceful as a scream. That was when we saw it situated in the rift beyond the temple, the true treasure of this dusty tomb, a pyramid of jet black opening its doors for us. So Eramis was not the first of the Elixni to come in contact with darkness. Rather, Mithrax's mother was. I want to focus specifically, though, on the end when our narrator starts talking about the horrific creatures that stank of wet soil, shrieked like dying animals, and tore at flesh. They likely didn't have the name the Hive for these creatures, or didn't
Right.
know it themselves. This is almost certainly the Hive. I've seen some speculation that maybe these are the monolith creatures that Drifter encountered on the Ice Moon. I don't think that
Yeah.
that's the case. I'd be very shocked if it was. This feels very much like these are the Hive that have laid dormant here for centuries. I don't know if this lines up with the Great Disaster on the Moon, but it seems like it's pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Like, because given the timeline, like they show up after the collapse to Earth. We don't know how long after, but enough that Guardians were common at this point. I would probably place their arrival at something around 350 years maybe before the events of the game. So maybe
Right.
150 years. Well, yeah, maybe more, because I feel like we're going to get the conclusion of her story at Twilight Gap or at Six Fronts.
Yeah.
And both of those we know have not come to pass at this point. I think that's the most interesting thing, is where in the timeline is this placed. I would say at the latest, this is probably 350 years prior to the current events of the game. I think it also shows that the Elixni have an unnaturally long lifespan, and I think part of that is due to the Traveler having uplifted the species.
Right.
We know that
Similar to us,
humanity
though,
has,
right?
yes, humanity has increased lifespan as well because of that. I don't know if that passes on to subsequent generations, or if that's just for those who have been directly blessed by the light, or who were there when the Traveler was, and this and that. But we know in the Golden Age, it expanded human lifespans and made humans live for hundreds of years. I would expect if a normal Elixni would last for a couple hundred years, this probably made them last into like thousands. Because
Yeah.
Varix, for example, was there when the whirlwind happened. Varix remembers very vividly what happened. We
Right.
now know that, and we know from all this, that Eramis and Tanax were there during the whirlwind as well.
Yeah.
We knew that from cutscenes in Beyond Light. So yeah, like an Elixni could live to be, I don't know how many years it would have been, because the collapse happened roughly 1,000 years prior to the events of Destiny 1. Maybe the whirlwind happened 1,500 years before, because the Travelers went around us for a couple hundred years before the Witness and the Pyramids attempted to take it out. Because it was terraforming Io at the time.
Right.
And fled back to the Earth. But I think this shows an interesting point, like similar to the story that we got from Mithrax last year during Splicer about Saint being a demon. This pretty much underscored they weren't just scared of Saint; they were scared of all of humanity, because they thought all of humanity was like the humans that were destroying them. And I mean, if you're humanity, you got to be thinking like, what the fuck are these things?
Right.
We
Yeah.
haven't encountered aliens that are not hostile before. And yet, even then, there was a faction of them that were loyal to the Great Machine still. She talks about goading them into doing these raids and doing these raiding parties. I feel like the end of this book has to coincide with Mithrax rising to take her darkness artifact.
Yeah. I mean, that would make sense at this
Because
point.
that was his birthright, essentially.
Yeah.
I do like the little shoe in here that we hear about Spider and his brother, though, at the very beginning, Raxus and Sivkis.
Yeah.
I like
It's
that.
cool. It's always cool when like you see these characters like the Stranger and Spider, but then like you hear like their real names for the first time. And you
Hmm.
figure out like they have real names. They just don't have these generic tags assigned to them. Like it's cool. I think it's really cool when stuff like that
Yeah.
happens.
Well, and like at some point, Spider, uh, Civics, and Mithrax become basically radicalized and join the House of
Yeah.
Wolves. Because we know they
Uh huh.
served under Skolas.
Uh huh.
We know that from this season if we didn't know it already before. So that's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He gets abandoned. Spider will eventually get abandoned by Mithrax on an asteroid and basically told "fuck off."
Yeah.
Um, and that's when he
Pirate
becomes
lore.
the Spider. Yeah, that's he basically gets commandeered. Except
You think he?
Mithrax, I think, has a better heart than Captain Barbossa did.
Yeah. You think Spider escaped on two space turtles with human hair?
I think he escaped on the back of two awoken Techians using their ley lines.
Yeah. Uh.
Oh man, that's gonna do it for Lore Corner though. I don't have another fancy piece. I was gonna do Divinity, and the more that I was reading up on today, it's like no, I want to take time and make sure we do this right. We don't do a lot of Vex lore because there hasn't been a lot of Vex lore. Um, so I want to take some time
You think
to kind of formulate an episode around that.
so? Okay. So not to like speculate anything further out than the final shape or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Light and Dark saga clearly revolves around the Hive, right? For the most part, and even though we've touched on Vex a little bit, right, with like Vault of Glass and Atheon, and then obviously the Osiris stuff, but like we haven't really there isn't really like a Oryx of the Vex at the moment, or a
No,
Savathun of the Vex at the moment.
no.
You think we're gonna start seeing that stuff either like within
Mm,
one of these seasons, or like you think that might be like the overarching story of after the Light and Dark saga, because they don't
so
really
we know they show up in. They're gonna show up on Neomuna because they're seen in the footage on Neomuna.
right, right,
I wonder if Lightfall will have something to do with them because and this is the only reason why I say this. I keep coming back to the fucking Black Garden. Like that's where the witness spoke to us after
hmm
the events of Shadowkeep for the first time.
right.
And we don't know if that was actually the witness speaking or was that the actual entity of the darkness because the witness
You're
to
talking
me
about
is
like the clone. You're talking about the
yes.
clone of the Guardian, right?
Yes, I think that was if we're talking about like the ultimate entities behind Light and Dark. I suspect that was the Winnower talking to
hmm
us,
Yeah,
and not the actual witness.
right.
But I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have like the witness like planned out and ready to go at that point just yet. Um, entirely possible. I have to think the Black Garden somehow ties into it.
Yeah,
I have to think that.
yeah.
Given that that's where we end the original campaign at to help the Traveler get some of its strength back, we stop the Darkness Ritual and things of that nature. But we've also, I feel like we've so clearly abandoned a lot of the stuff that they were setting up in early D1 because it just doesn't make sense anymore. And
They brought back the Stranger though. They brought Elsie back.
that's true. I think they had an opportunity to do that, and I do think we'll still circle around to some of the events of D1 as we get closer to the end. But it would
hmm
not surprise me if the Vex just got punted to D2, like that was one, or to D3. That was like one of the major things that we do is we hunt down like the Vex Forge.
Yeah,
We see where the portal on Europa really leads to.
yeah.
Um, I think there's a lot of
That would be
opportunities there.
cool.
And it seems like the Vex, I do think that a faction of the Vex will fight alongside us by the end. I think it's going to be the faction that was living on Io, that was inside the Pyramidion that Asher is now a part of, that he's
hmm
assimilated into. I could see
You
him
think he's
controlling
you
some
think
of the
he's
Vex.
you, you think he's like raising an army of rogue Vex?
Yes, I unironically I do. Like there is a harpy. There's a non-hostile harpy that was in Season of the Splicer that
Yeah,
if you read out its flashes in Morse code, it was a message from Asher.
yeah.
So or a message about Asher. I don't remember which one. It's been a year. but I think that would be really cool. That would solidify, like, oh, there's a faction of like each of the races, with the exception of Taken, which are like pure darkness, that are fighting alongside us. Assuming the Lucian Hive join forces with us by the end, which I don't think is too out of the question. Again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But at that point, I would see like, oh, if Savathun like went down and her ghost went to Resurrector, I could see us like be like, nope, you're done.
Yeah. You
You're
think
done.
if
Goodbye.
Savathun joins us to fight the Witness, you think Xivu Arath is the Hive disciple?
I don't think that so my personal conspiracy is that I don't think that Savathun joins us. I think we actually have to take down Savathun at some point. I think that Xivu Arath eventually turns on the disciple, though. She's the Hive God of War. Like, I think that she only serves him, from what we know, because she's so scared of him. But if she sees that we've taken down Rolk and Savathun and Oryx and Crota and Callus, I feel like she would be like, gonna go with them. And then you're just like, cool. When it's all done, Keitel, she's all yours. She's all yours. Here, we'll even help you kill her. There's where your second raid comes from.
Yeah.
I don't know. Corey, get me out of here. Well, get me out of here.
More on that later, I suppose. Put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that. We'll be thinking about that for a while.
I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to Tower Casuals. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a 5-star rating and a nice review. It really helps out. Join the Discord. It's really fun in there. Play with some friends and do all that stuff. Josh, as always, I appreciate your time tonight. Where can we find you?
You're gonna find me on Twitter at Josh_Finn, 2 N's.
And you can find me at I am Corey HD on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Tower Casuals at Tower Casuals on social media. And yeah, buy a sweatshirt like this one. It's comfy.
And it's been a week shirt.
Yeah, some people have bought it.
I need to get me one.
People bought the mug. People bought the shirt. It's hilarious. So it's so funny that was a joke, and now people are just wearing it on their bodies.
It's great.
I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening, and until next time, we love you. Goodbye. All right.